What we the key components we have we have a so and recently got so the typical development within the ESS BIZTOOls website. We're bringing that up. We should see that material website. What we see across the page with access, starting on the right hand side, advisory intro, and the starter package, the advanced package, and the financial forecasting package. Now, everything that's included in advisory intro flows into the starter package, everything there flows into advanced, and so obviously the financial forecasting package has everything that the previous three packages have got, together with some fantastic additional material to assist those subscribers to deliver real virtual CFO services. built around the Plan Guru software for the preparation of budgets and cash flow forecasts, prepared by an accountant in America who was frustrated that he couldn't obtain software that would really allow him to dig into his clients' businesses and do their projections for them. So it's very good software. And we look at some of the additional services that you can provide as a virtual CFO relating to the advice and mentoring and working with the CEO, which would presumably be the owner of the business, or it might be an employed CEO. But it's very important that we're able to talk to those people. So we're going to go into business advisory services training. So when you go onto our website, we have all this preamble material that you can read and say, okay, that's what I'm going to look at, and this is what we're going to look at in this presentation to you today. And there are some recordings that have already been recorded, and I've got to find where I've got to click on to. So we're going to go to Introduction to Business Advisory Services. The first item we have is the Procedure Control Form. And I'll just get that into one page. And just share that with you. Okay, so the procedure control form that you have on your screen is the document that, as I said before, each of the packages has one of these. And it's basically guiding you through the processes of utilizing this document. So this will help you stay on track as you work through the various components and the various BAS forms. Now, BAS in ESS BIZTOOLS stands for Business Advisory Services, not the other BAS that most of you are familiar with from the tax office terminology. We had BAS before they did. So we've kept BAS because it had already been implemented within our system to assist people to understand the whole process. So I'm going to go back now and click on to paper 570001. This is the key initial paper within ESS BIZTOOLS because it explains our concepts, our vision to help you to be able to offer this broader range of services to your clients. So we start off with the consideration of business advisory services. The market is changing for accountancy and bookkeeping services. I think you'd all agree with me on that. We refer to the former tax commissioner, Chris Jordan's comments that he made in 2022 at a conference in Sydney. He issued a warning to accountants and bookkeepers, and he said, you must understand that if your business model is high volume, low margin, simple tax returns, your business will not be viable in 3 to 5 years. Now, it's nearly 2 years since Mr. Jordan made that comment. Some people have taken it very seriously and have changed their professional service firms or organisation. And I suggest that if you haven't thought it through, you probably should be. Because even if you're not directly impacted by what Mr. Jordan said at that conference, it's going to affect a whole range of people in the accounting industry and the bookkeeping industry. Because there'll be other people who were supplying a whole range of services at the end of the market that Mr. Jordan referred to, who will take notice of his advice and will be changing their business operations, which in most cases will mean they'll be looking to offer additional services. So that will ultimately cause competition to increase in the overall market. Jordan said you should be looking to diversify to remain viable longer term. He then made his closing and very hard-hitting comment, in my opinion: focus on becoming a brilliant and trusted advisor. We want to help you at ESS BIZTOOLS to become the trusted and brilliant advisor. We also refer to reports that have been prepared over the last decade or so by MYOB, by CCH, by CommBank, by National Australia Bank, by Deloitte, who have all issued reports that have aided the acceptance that the accounting firms and bookkeeping firms can offer more services to assist clients to survive in business. I would recommend that you read in some detail this paper 570001 and that you then use it in team training with your team. You'll notice it's linked to various forms that I'm going to refer to in this summary today, so that you can become familiar with the market that we're talking about. The next item I want to refer to is the BAS 001, Predictions of Accounting and Business Evolution, 23-24 through to 26-27. I'd be interested if you've got any comments about how we see the marketplace evolving over that 3-year period. I think business advisory services will continue to grow. The key question for you is, are you going to be a participant in this market? An increasing number of accounting and bookkeeping firms will be changing their modus operandi because of, amongst other things, the comments made by the recently retired tax commissioner. Corporate financing assignments will continue to grow as more and more SMEs embrace the concept of scaling up. They've been watching the financial press. They've seen that some Australian companies in the last 5 years have achieved remarkable success. They're saying, why can't I do that? I think they can. And I hope that you're going to be able to help some of those people succeed, because their success will rub off on your firm as well. Digital transformation will continue to grow. Cybersecurity is going to be a continual problem for all businesses. Corporate governance is a high priority as more and more of our clients move into utilising companies in the real sense, the sense they were meant to be, just not instruments to hold some assets in or run a business, with a proper functioning board of directors, with a leadership team. And that material goes on. So you could review that and think about that, and we could then discuss it at some stage if you want to in the future. The next one I want to go to is the vision for the future of accountancy businesses. And this is a form that's in your system, which is doing a survey. What's your thoughts on accountancy services, products to be supplied by your firm? So we've got the traditional services as they currently exist. Tax returns, tax planning, very important. Other compliance services, audit, financial planning, chief financial officer services, strategic management services. And then we've listed a whole range of what we term to be business advisory services. Things like the personal property securities register, making sure your clients fully understand how that works, how it operates, business plans, budgets, cash flow forecasts, debtors management, work in progress management, risk management, corporate governance, a whole range of issues, succession planning, family businesses, exporting, asset management, retirement planning. What sort of services does your firm want to provide? Someone said to me recently, all of them. Well, that's great. Tick the lot. And then make sure you skill up your team and the partners so that you're able to deliver those services to your clients. The next one I want to just go to is the implementing business advisory services strategies. This is an overview that you could sit down and talk to your partners in the firm first of all, and then have a team meeting and discuss with the team. Obviously, the partners need to sign off that this is a strategy that's going to be undertaken, because it does take some time. Obviously, we're talking about significant changes for many of you in how you currently operate your business. Team member interviews. What do they think about it? Are they happy with it? Not everyone embraces the concept of advisory services. I've got to tell you that. Some people will say, no, we've put a lot of time in really understanding superannuation, becoming an expert in it. I put a lot of time in understanding how the software packages, MYOB, QuickBooks, Xero, etc., work, and I haven't got the time or the energy to look at other activities. Well, okay, that's all right. So we've listed there some of the items that you might like to think about in having a full and frank discussion with your team. And in some instances, of course, that full and frank discussion will have to be held with your partners to get their commitment to this strategy. The next one I want to go to now is the accountancy business coaches. There's some coaches listed there. Yours truly is on top of the list. We do have a consulting company, Towers Business Development. And if you run into problems on any of the services we're suggesting that you offer, you can contact us. We do accept work assignments for some of the ESS BIZTOOLS subscriber firms that either don't have the resources to undertake something or don't really want to get into a major capital raising scenario with a client at this stage, and we can jointly work on a project. We're happy to look at it. But I've also mentioned some of the other people who we are closely involved with. Smith Inc. We've been associated with Smith Inc. for a long, long time, basically from when it was formed. Originally, Andrew Geddes and David Smith were the partners. Now it's David Smith and Mark Holton. Added value, I've had a long association with that organisation also, Robert Pillins. Training Beyond Accounting, Dale Crosby. Also a long association. Dale's also the Managing Director of For Accountants, a great promotional tool for businesses trying to service accountants. We have Plan Guru and Paul, and Global Business Clamps, John Sewis, and the Balance Firm, Amanda Gascoigne. They're the consultants that we would recommend that you turn to if you need some additional information made available to you. I'm just skipping through in this paper here to get the next link that I'm looking for. You can see this paper is covering a whole range of information. So the next one that I wanted to go to and giving you this overview today is the team member survey. Very important, I think, to get the views of your team as to what they're happy to be involved in or what they're interested in being involved in. What do they want from the firm in the long term? Have they got some skills that you're not using? Maybe you don't know about them. They receive feedback from clients who are looking for your firm to be offering some different services. What professional activities interest them? And then we've listed them. Under accountancy services, we've got tax returns, tax planning, interim financial accounts, then audits, financial planning, insolvency services, and then we start going through the business advisory services. It's interesting to find out what your team are interested in. And as I said earlier, some people will indicate they're not particularly interested in business advisory services, but I think you'll find over 80% of your accountants will indicate that they are interested in business advisory services. So you can look at that and use that to plan your approach as a firm as to how you're going to implement these services. Succession planning is very important, and we discuss it in the form. BAS 009. What this is for is to look at succession within your firm. How are you going to encourage some of your team members to get involved? Some of them will be very apprehensive about public speaking. They're probably all right to talk to 2 or 3 clients together, but start getting nervous going beyond that. They might not be happy to even produce a webinar like this or a podcast, and they don't like speaking in public to 10, 20, 30, 200 people. So perhaps you could look at them joining a public speaking organisation such as Toastmasters or a service club. It may be advisable that they undertake the Australian Institute of Company Directors Diploma course to enhance their skills relative to corporate governance. So that's the purpose of that form, to ask you to look at that, to decide what you think your clients should be, or your team should be doing. And don't mind, some of that recommendation could apply to your clients. I've had that situation where a client was not very confident about talking to people, and we were wanting that client to be able to present as the CEO a presentation to a group of potential investors to raise capital. that's a very important process, and that presenter needs to show confidence and ability and be able to communicate clearly. And he was not confident, and we were not confident, so we had some additional training undertaken. Let's now look at the attributes of an A and B class client. So what's the attributes? This will give you a chart to go through and have a good look at it. Is it an existing trading business? Has the business got potential? If it's a startup, is this business got strong product support? Because you really need to be identifying who you want to work with in the marketplace. Some people who are fairly advanced in offering advisory services are rejecting potential clients. They're saying, no, you don't meet our classifications for the type of clients that we want in our firm. That's something you might want to think about. Hopefully this form will help you. Are the owners ambitious? But that's great, but if they're not ambitious, do you really want to work with them? Because they're not going to create the opportunities. Because what we're really looking for people who have got a research and development project who then want to commercialize that. So they want to go on the innovation pathway. Now, most people that I've struck, in fact, all people that I've struck that have been undertaking research and development and then going into innovation run out of money because they've spent it all on their research and development phase. So they're looking then to be able to raise money, either as loan funds, but then they need an asset to offer as security to a lender. These days, of course, we've got 3 immediate ways that they can raise money. They can go to Section 708 of the Corporations Act, which is maximum of $2 million from a maximum of 20 investors. So it's really looking for sophisticated investors who obviously have got high amounts of money. If you can only get 20 investors and only raise a maximum of $2 million. And there are restrictions on how it can be advertised and promoted, and all that material is covered in ESS BIZTOOLS. But then we got the 2 new players. Early stage innovation company, which is fantastic for a young company, normally under 3 years of age, in some circumstances up to 6 years of age, that have been undertaking some research and development type activities. They've been doing something a little bit out of the box. They can raise capital, and as part of that capital raising process, there's a bonus that the government is offering. 20% of their investment into the company is available to them as a tax rebate off their own tax bill. And if they hold the shares for longer than 12 months and less than 10 years, they don't pay capital gains tax when they sell those shares. It's a great carrot. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know about it. Early stage innovation companies, please write it down and go to it in ESS BIZTOOLS to get the full package that we've developed to assist you to deliver those services. And then we have crowdsourced funding equity raising. If your client's company has a turnover of under $25 million internationally, value of assets less than $25 million internationally, not listed on a stock exchange, doing any type of work, you're potentially able to raise capital as much as $5 million in the first 12 months. And then if the market supports you, raise a further $5 million in the following 12 months. It's pretty good, isn't it? So you can look at doing that. So what category are these clients fitting into? So that's that form, and hopefully you have a good appreciation now of what's involved in it. There is a checklist for people who are wanting tax returns done. You can read that at your leisure. I want to look at now a client questionnaire for an accountancy firm. This is a questionnaire you could send out, or have someone to your client, or have someone sit down with a client over a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and write down their answers. How long have they been a client of this firm? Do they like what you're doing? Who do you deal with? If you met someone at a barbecue and they asked you about your accountants, what would you say? Can you name 2 things that your firm could do to improve your service? What services do they use? What other services would they like to use? Sometimes when accountants start introducing advisory services, they get a reaction. I got it. Paul Barnaby, who's our expert on predictive accounting, Clan Guru software, definitely got it. He told us in a webinar yesterday. Clients turn around and say, why weren't you doing this previously? I've been waiting for you to offer what is now known as virtual chief financial officer services 3 or 4 years ago. You might get that same reaction. I hope you do, because that will give you encouragement. So that form's there for you to utilize to give you an idea. There is a form there if you're a bookkeeping firm. Can you just click onto that and look at that? And the products, well, we've got a fair idea what the products are, haven't we? Because we've been going through them in this process. The classification of clients into industry groups will help, because some of you may decide that what you should become is the expert on tradies, or the expert on medical firms, or the expert on physiotherapy. So this form that's on the screen now might help you to do that. You can go through and have your clients listed into retail, manufacturing, trades, professions, graziers, farmers, and add as many other categories as you like to that, and get them listed your clients. Because what I find in talking to accounting firm partners, a lot of accountants know this list for their own clients, but they really got no idea what the rest of the firm's got. I really found this out some years ago when there was a real problem in the Australian cattle industry. A whole lot of cattle had to be slaughtered because of a disease. And there was various grants being made available, and the questions were being asked, well, how many grazing clients did accountancy firms have? I asked that question in one accounting firm, and the partner told me, 21, 22 grazing firm. I said, and I said, is that the total firm, your firm? And he looked at me and said, oh, no, that's just mine. So we went off and got the admin manager, and then had to get the partners in. And that figure ended up at 58. So they had 58 grazing businesses. And they didn't appreciate that what was in the firm beyond their own particular clients. And at times it's well worth the firm having those statistics so that various opportunities can be reacted to. So that's the overview of this material that will, I think, give you a far better appreciation of the material within ESS BIZTOOls. I just want to bring you, I've gone back to the procedure control form now, and I'm bringing up for you to look at the paper introducing a business advisory services culture. The accounting profession is changing. I've used that same introduction now for about the last 20 years, but every year it changes, and every year we update it. But we're heading more and more into that advisory space. Again, we start off in this particular edition of what the tax commissioner had to say. So there's some ideas there that you might like to read and look at how your firm lines up. I've listed there some accountancy industry strengths. How do you compare? You might have some very strong strengths that aren't mentioned there. What about the weaknesses? Same comment applies. And then let's look at the opportunities. Whilst there's a lot of problems in Australian SME businesses, there's also a lot of businesses that are really performing well. And what you need to be able to do is to make sure you attract your fair share of those SMEs who are doing very well, and then stay abreast with them as they grow. Now, they might not remain your clients forever, of course, because at some stage you may decide when you're going to opt out, when it's starting to get too complicated, because they're growing. But it can be an interesting journey, and it will give your firm interesting and challenging work for your team members to work on. So that's a brief overview. I'm just showing you this paper, and I encourage you to read it and then talk to your team about it. Make sure your colleagues in the firm read these papers, and then just debate how you're going to implement these types of strategies, if you wish, of course, into your firm, into the culture of services that you're supplying to your clients. I also want to show you and we just go through the remainder of this format. I thought there was another paper that I was going to bring up. So we finished there by saying, having completed introduction to business advisory services, we recommend that you now proceed with a review of getting organised for business advisory services. That's the next module that you could then move on to. Hopefully that gives you plenty to think about and to look at how you might activate it. I've now gone back to the procedure control form because I want to just show you the well, oh, no, I was on slides then, sorry, that's all right. There are PowerPoint slides throughout this system. And this is the development of business advisory services and enterprises, is paper 500-002, which adds a little bit to what we've been talking about, adding value to knowledge, so as to give you the overview. How you might develop a specialist advisory firm. Some firms are doing this. They're saying, okay, the traditional firm that or service group within your firm that is concentrating on the preparation of annual accounts and tax returns and giving taxation advice remains, but we're also going to have a special unit that delivers the advisory services. I think that's probably not a bad way to start if you've got that resource of having someone who really wants to spearhead the advisory services. But I would envisage that in 1 or 2 years' time, those functions would become merged, because the entire team will then want to be involved in the advisory services, the week by week, month by month role, as well as then preparing the tax return. Perhaps you might have some specialised tax people, of course, to give advice, not so much doing the tax return work, but it's something that each firm will sort out for themselves. Some firms have been looking to hire external people who can perform the role in the advisory space, not so much as the virtual CFO, but the general organiser of it all. And a good group of people to look at could be ex-bank managers or ex-very well-performed clients who might be able to take on that managerial role to organise things. It's worth thinking about. And I just now want to just move on from there and go back to the last paper I want to just show you today is introducing a business advisory services culture. Got another paper you can read, 501003. And you can look at that. And in fact, actually, we've already seen that. My apologies. I put it up earlier. I've already showed you that. So that's giving you an overview of the material that's included within ESS BIZTOOLS in that area where you're getting familiar with what's included in ESS BIZTOOLS. There are resources there. We do update them, most of those items there every year, unless there's something during the year that requires correction or updating. If you can think of other things that you think should be included in there, please send us an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. Good luck with your journey into offering advisory services to your clients. You will receive regular communications from us as a subscriber. You receive each month Business Plus, which is uploaded to our website on the second Friday of a month at 12 noon, Queensland time. You also receive Members Alert, which is a monthly communication to our members, giving you some insights into some interesting matters affecting accountancy and the services that we are providing to assist you. And we also run an ongoing training program each month, because each of our products receive 10 training sessions each year. So each of our product packages, so we're delivering 40 training packages over the 12-month period. And our subscribers can attend any one of those training sessions that they wish to just register to go to. There's no additional fees payable. So that's it for me. That's our overview of the commencement of business advisory services. We call it the overview of business advisory services. It first appears in ESS BIZTOOLS in the advisory intro package, but as I said earlier, that is then also replicated in the other 3 packages. So irrespective of what subscription level you have access to the material that I've shown you today. Thank you for your support. Have a great day. Goodbye.